Vice President Sara Duterte's legal team now includes 16 lawyers as the House names an impeachment spokesperson and the Senate defends its actions. The impeachment trial faces delays, and for that, we have Professor Michael Henry Yusingco to help us break it down. He joins us from the Ateneo de Manila University. Good morning. Welcome back to Morning Matters.
Good morning, Gretchen, and good morning to all the listeners and viewers of the program.
Several developments here since we last talked. First of which is there is already a spokesperson for the prosecution team appointed by the House of Representatives. What do you make of the choice of Attorney Bukoy? And is it usual to have a spokesperson?
Well, I really have nothing to say about the person, but certainly the appointment of a spokesperson is beneficial to us, no, to the public and to media, because we now have at least one dedicated channel of information coming from the source. So it's immaterial for me who that person is. Of course, I would say that the appointed person is a highly esteemed lawyer, so that's a big plus. But the appointment itself of a designated channel of information, I think that's beneficial.
Why is it beneficial? What do you think that will do to or in shaping public perception about this trial?
Well, the expectation I would have is that information, at least pertinent to the prosecution, will just come from one source. So there will be at least, I think, discipline when it comes to divulging pertinent information. And I think that's beneficial because the public will only get to hear what they need to hear instead of having no spokesperson and allowing multiple personalities saying their 2 cents about the issue. And that can lead to confusion amongst the public. So one source, one mouth, so to speak, will help the public really understand the issues that need to be deliberated on.
And listening to him a while ago, he was quite definitive with the constitutionality of what has been happening over at the Senate, and in his tone, medyo commanding. It kind of reminds me of spokesperson Claire Castro. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's one of the advantages of getting a seasoned lawyer who's presumably well versed about the Constitution and the intricacies of the Constitution, specifically provisions pertaining to the impeachment process. So it's really helpful, no? Helpful for us, at least us trying to analyze what's going on, because we hear common sense, we hear or at least sensible views or an analysis of what's happening, rather than just bardagulan or mudslinging or just trying to catch the attention of the public.
Do you expect the same strategy from the defense, even as they have appointed 16 lawyers for the vice president's team? Do you expect them to go with one spokesperson? And what do you make of the 16 lawyers?
Regarding appointing a designated spokesperson, I think that would be a wise move, for the same reasons, for the same reasons that I mentioned earlier. Regarding the number of lawyers, as a former litigator myself, that hardly impresses me. In fact, the more lawyers you have, the guiltier you look. I mean, that's just the conventional thinking of practitioners, litigators, when I was litigating. So it may look impressive to some. Obviously, the choice of a law firm is understandable, given their expertise on impeachment. But the sheer number, you can take it as impressive, but I remember back in the day when I was still practicing and litigating, I would always hear old school lawyers say, the more lawyers you have, the more guilty you look.
And baka kasi there are 7 articles of impeachment. Baka tigda dalawang lawyer, hindi kaya ganun yon yung strategy na yon. How would that
Yeah.
how would that play out?
That's, that's a fair point, Gretchen. I didn't think of that, but that's a fair point. Maybe because of the sheer volume of the articles, they need that kind of manpower, and they might distribute it accordingly.
Okay, let's go to the constitutionality of the Senate impeachment court's behavior. They assert that they have not violated the Constitution. Senate President Francis Escudero even claimed that the impeachment court has no limits when it comes to what it can do. To which several legal experts have responded na may limitasyon. Hindi porket sui generis ito o unique of its own kind, pwede mo nang gawin ang lahat ng gusto mo. Your thoughts on that?
So first, the Senate already violated the Constitution by not acting on the articles of impeachment immediately. No? I mean, a 5-month delay is not acting forthwith, right? I mean, that's just plain common sense. So they should have acted on the articles of impeachment months ago, and they should have triggered or initiated the trial process months ago. So that in itself is a disrespect or disregard of the constitutional command to commence trial without delay. As far as saying that the impeachment court has no limits, that's completely wrong in my view, because we all know that the Constitution is the supreme and paramount law of the land, and therefore everyone, everybody, every process must adhere to the Constitution, which means the Constitution limits everyone, including the impeachment court. So, Senate acting as an impeachment court is certainly definitively limited by the provisions of the Constitution, particularly Section 3 of Article 11. So to say that to me is very alarming. That cavalier attitude is very alarming, and it's plainly wrong.
But isn't the Senate allowed to create its own rules regarding the impeachment? I know that there are already rules in place from the 2011 impeachment, pero hindi ba parang usually, I remember this, Senator Chiz Escudero said, gagawa pa sila ng rules, dadaan to sa committee yung rules. I mean, what kind of liberties does the Senate have to approach this with regard to the context surrounding the impeachment? To some extent, Associate Justice Adolf Ascuna, the writer of the word forthwith, already said that he does not see any unreasonable delay because there was the context of the elections surrounding the impeachment trial. So, pagdating sa mga rules na maaaring gawin ng Senado, hindi ba they are at liberty to craft those rules with regard to the current situation?
So I wouldn't actually frame it as having liberty to craft rules, no? Because the Constitution directly commands them to formulate those rules. So it's not as if that's their own power, no? It's an authority given to them by the Constitution, and therefore those rules must still adhere to the Constitution writ large, no? So they cannot just nitpick provisions and say that they can do this and they cannot do that, no? So the Constitution says forthwith, without delay, but obviously that gives them room to prepare for the trial. It doesn't mean that kinabukasan they should conduct the trial, no? So the Constitution contemplates the Senate formulating their rules, formulating their procedures for the trial to be conducted. But at least for me, that can be done within a month, I would say. No? So a 5-month delay just to start the trial, I think is unreasonable. I'm not saying that they can finish the trial within 5 months. What I'm saying is they could have started or initiated the trial process months ago.
Okay, but when it comes to formulating those rules, what should be done? What's the procedure here? Should that be brought to the floor? Who has the authority to craft those rules? At meron bang botohan, no, on those rules?
Yes, they have to, obviously, they have to assign a committee to draft it, no? To write it down or to revise the existing one. But ultimately, it has to be voted upon by the plenary because this is the Senate we're talking about. So it has to decide as a body. So the drafting may be initiated by a committee, but the final result has to be voted upon by the body.
And we haven't seen that yet. Am I correct?
I think you are
So we're
correct.
still following the existing rules back in
That's right.
2011.
So, if I'm not mistaken, they have decided to follow the current one. They've decided not to change it. So that's why we are following the existing rules.
At ang sabi naman ni former Senator Tito Soto, siya daw yung author nitong 2011 rules at sabi niya, the senators are not allowed to file a motion. Senator judges are not allowed to file a motion themselves. But Senator Francis Tolentino, on the other hand, argues that it has been done in the U.S. where a senator judge actually filed a motion to dismiss. And sila, ang final nila is a motion to remand and to clarify certain things. For example, on the constitutionality of the procedures done in the House. So, I guess the question is, under the current existing rules, hindi ba talaga allowed itong motion kahit mag-clarify lamang na move mula dun sa mga senator judge? Hindi ba parang sa hukuman, ganun din naman yun, no? Pwede nilang ibalik para magkaroon sila ng kalinawan doon sa nililitis.
So first, Gretchen, let's establish that you only refer to external references like kung anong ginagawa sa Amerika or kano ba yung intent ng drafters natin when there is ambiguity in the words of the Constitution, no? Let's bring that out kasi when there is no ambiguity, when there is no confusion as to what the Constitution prescribes, the rule is we apply what the Constitution says, no? So, ang sabi ng Constitution natin, trial must commence forthwith. So, the Constitution says trial, not dismiss, di ba? Trial. In other words, I would understand this in its plain meaning, which is for the prosecution to present their evidence, for the defense to present her defense, no? Yung impeached official to present her case, and then the senator judges render either conviction or acquittal. So these are the parameters set by the Constitution. And therefore, the senator judges are obligated to just follow what these parameters command. No? They cannot go beyond the parameters set by the Constitution unless there is a confusion or unless there is ambiguity. Eh wala naman ambiguity, no, na nakalagay sa saligang batas. Sabi trial commence trial or commence hearing or whatever. That has to be the command that they should be obeying.
But do you agree with the comment of Associate Justice Adolf Ascuna that this was unwittingly brilliant on the part of the Senate? Unwittingly brilliant dahil they in effect bound or binded the 20th Congress to actually proceed with the trial because of the second provision na kailangan sila ang magsabi kung gusto nilang ituloy.
Yeah, that's one view. I don't necessarily. I don't necessarily subscribe to it. Kasi if you can look at it that way, Gretchen, but ultimately the 20th Congress will decide, whatever they want to do, right? The Senate that will be part of the 20th Congress will decide what to do. I don't think they will think that we're bound to do this or that by what the 19th Congress said. No? Ganyan naman ang nature ng mga politicians natin eh. So I would rather look at that matter as to whether it can carry over, yung from the 19th to the 20th Congress as a constitutional issue. Is this can this be sanctioned by those parameters that I mentioned? Obviously, at first instance, it will be the senators who will determine that, right? Kung payag ba sila to carry over, they share the same view as the drafters and myself, or they can, parang just consider their political interests for 2028 and say, igilan natin to para wala nang gulo, right? But that matter, because it's a constitutional issue, I'm pretty sure it will go up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court can, resolve it with finality, whether it can proceed, can carry over or not.
Actually, sabi ni Senator Coco Pimentel, that bringing a case against these senators and what has been done over at the Senate to the Supreme Court could be a trap and a distraction. Kasi kumbaga parang it diverts the attention from the main issue on Sara Duterte to the legalities, to the constitutionality. How do you see this moving forward when it comes to the articles of impeachment being remanded to the House? They have deferred accepting it. Parang nasa impasse tayo. How do you see this moving forward if Senator Coco Pimentel thinks it's not wise to go to the Supreme Court with this?
Well, first, I don't think we're at an impasse now. No? Kasi if you look at the remand order closely, it says that it does not dismiss or terminate the trial, the hearing. In fact, the trial is now moving along. Na-issue na yung summons and the lawyers of the impeachment have entered their appearance and, they're now deciding whether they would answer, etc., etc. So, the trial is actually going along now. Yung mga drama na nangyayari about deferring response to the remand order, etc., those are just political drama now. These are just political politicians showcasing themselves, or their knowledge about the Constitution or the lack thereof. But really, the nitty-gritty of the trial or the impeachment trial is moving along because they've already issued the summons, and the lawyers of the impeached official has acknowledged receipt of it and will proceed accordingly. So I think Senator Coco Pimentel is correct to say that going to the Supreme Court might derail or at least confuse the issues in the impeachment trial. Kasi parang nagkakaroon ng dalawang tracks. Meron ng Supreme Court track, tapos meron pang impeachment track. So, also as a litigator, I also share that view na tapusin na natin yung impeachment trial para ma-settle na yon. Huwag na natin muna dalhin to sa Korte Suprema. Unless, of course, there is a urgent and concerning constitutional matter that has a significant bearing on the decision of the case.
And going back to the start of this interview, given the recent movements of the House and the team of Vice President Sara Duterte forming their own team for the prosecution and the defense, does that mean that this impeachment trial will proceed?
It certainly looks that way, and it should. The fact that there's already a set of defense lawyers, there's already a set of prosecutors, this trial should proceed as it was intended to proceed by our Constitution. Anything peripheral to this process, I hope we can block off yung mga pasikat-sikat lang na mga lawmakers, pabayaan na natin yon. Kaya nga sabi ko kanina, maganda na nga yung merong spokesperson tayo na naririnig at least disiplinado yung pag-divulge and pag-diffuse ng information. So I hope and I expect the impeachment trial to proceed now.
All right, forthwith, it is, no matter how delayed that is. Maraming salamat sa iyo, Professor Michael Yusingco, for weighing in on with us here at Morning Matters. Maraming salamat sa inyong oras.
Maraming salamat din.